My wife destroyed our marriage with 3 men in a Miami hotel room. I destroyed all 4 of their lives in court. My name is Andrew Morrison, and I'm 33 years old. The moment I saw Janelle on that couch, Gabriel Sanders on one side, Steve Nguyen and Nicholas Taylor flanking her like she was holding court, something inside me went cold. Not broken, cold. The kind of cold that doesn't scream or cry. The kind that plans. Because I didn't just see betrayal in that suite. I saw 14 months of systematic lies. I saw $42,000 stolen from our joint account. I saw every business trip and girls' weekend in a new, crystal-clear light. My jaw clenched as I pulled out my phone and started recording. They wanted to play games with my life? Fine. I'd show them what happens when you betray an architect who knows how to build a case that won't collapse. But let me start from the beginning. Before I go any further, let me know in the comments where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow I will share a story you don't want to miss. Friday afternoon, I wasn't supposed to be in Miami at all. I'd kissed Janelle goodbye that morning, watched her load her suitcase into her car for what she called a girls' weekend in Tampa. Marketing conference, spa time, mimosas by the pool. The usual story she'd sold me a dozen times before. I told her to have fun. Went to work like the trusting husband I was. Then Damian Whitmore called at 3 o'clock with an emergency. His Miami project, the luxury condo development I'd been designing for 8 months, had a critical structural issue the city inspector flagged. He needed me there immediately. I caught a 6 p.m. flight, landed at 9, grabbed my bag, and headed straight to my hotel near the construction site, the Marriott, 2 blocks from the Fontainebleau. I was checking in when I mindlessly scrolled Instagram, killing time while the front desk processed my reservation. That's when I saw Janelle's story from 6 hours earlier. A champagne glass with the caption, "Girls Trip Vibes," with a Tampa geotag. Except I could see the Fontainebleau's distinctive curved architecture in the reflection of her glass. My stomach dropped. I zoomed in on the image, pulse hammering in my ears, the specific palm tree arrangement behind her, the blue tile pattern visible through the window, the sunset angle, completely wrong for Tampa's west coast, absolutely perfect for Miami Beach. I stood there in that lobby, phone shaking in my hand, not with sadness, with rage so pure it felt like ice water in my veins. I opened our credit card app, the one we'd always shared, completely transparent. Except I looked at it now with new eyes, and everything changed. Her card showed charges at the Fontainebleau, room service this afternoon, bar tabs tonight. All this week while she'd supposedly been working in Charlotte. I scrolled back through months of statements, found a pattern that made my jaw clench. Every girls' trip to Tampa over the past 18 months, all of them had Miami charges she'd carefully marked as work expenses or conference fees in our budget spreadsheet. I'd trusted her with our finances. She'd been stealing from our joint account to fund whatever this was. I called the Fontainebleau front desk, keeping my voice steady. "Hi, I'm trying to surprise my wife, Janelle Morrison. I know she's staying with you this weekend. Could you tell me her room number? I want to send champagne." "Oh, how sweet. Mrs. Morrison is in the Versailles suite, room 2847. But sir, we show the room is registered under a different name, Mr. Gabriel Sanders." Gabriel Sanders. I didn't know that name, but I was about to. "That's perfect," I said smoothly. "It's a shared booking. I'll come by with the champagne personally." I hung up, sat on my hotel bed breathing slowly, forcing myself to think clearly. Every instinct screamed to storm over there right now. But I'm an architect. I plan. I design for structural integrity. I don't rush. I opened my phone and started recording a voice memo. Friday, November 8th, 9:47 p.m. My wife, Janelle Morrison, told me she was in Tampa. She's actually at the Fontainebleau, Miami, room 2847, registered under the name Gabriel Sanders. I'm documenting this before I confront the situation. Then I called my best friend and lawyer, Thomas McKinley. Andy, it's 10 p.m. on a Friday. Someone better be dead. My marriage is... My voice came out flat, controlled. I need you to walk me through something. If I'm about to catch my wife cheating, what do I need to document for a divorce? Thomas went silent. Then his tone shifted to pure professional focus. Photos, video, if possible. Witnesses, if you can get them. Don't touch anyone. Don't threaten anyone. Just document. Where are you? Miami. Outside her hotel. Jesus. Okay. Record everything. Stay calm. Get proof. Call me after. I grabbed my phone, made sure it was fully charged, and walked out into the Miami night. The Fontainebleau lobby was all marble and gold, music pumping from the pool deck. I walked past the front desk like I belonged there, headed straight for the elevators. 28th floor, suite 2847. I stood outside that door for 30 seconds, listening. Heard laughter, music, multiple voices, male voices. I knocked. The door opened. A man I'd never seen before stood there in expensive slacks and an unbuttoned dress shirt. Late 30s, well-groomed, holding a whiskey glass. Behind him, I could see the suite, massive ocean view, easily $3,000 a night. Wrong room, buddy, he said. Gabriel Sanders? I asked. His expression flickered. Who's asking? The husband of the woman you're fucking. I pushed past him before he could react, stepped into the suite, and saw everything. Janelle was on the couch in a black cocktail dress I'd never seen before, sitting between two other men. All three of them had drinks. The atmosphere was intimate, cozy. Clearly not the first hour of the evening. She looked up when I entered, and I watched her face cycle through shock, then fear, then desperate composure. Andrew, don't. I held up my hand, pulling out my phone. Started recording. Friday, November 8th, 10:03 p.m. Fontainebleau, Miami, room 2847. I'm here to surprise my wife who told me she was in Tampa. I panned the camera across the room, capturing everything. The men's faces, the drinks, the intimate setup. Instead, I find her in a suite with three men I've never met. Janelle, would you like to explain? She stood up, her face going pale. This isn't... You don't understand. Then make me understand. My voice was perfectly calm. Deadly calm. Explain why you're in Miami when you said Tampa. Explain why you're in a suite registered to Gabriel Sanders. Explain why our joint credit card shows 18 months of hidden Miami trips. One of the men on the couch, younger, nervous-looking, stood up. Hey, man, maybe we should... Sit down, I said, not even looking at him. I'm not here for you. I'm here for her. Janelle moved toward me. Andrew, please, can we talk about this privately? Privately. I laughed, and it sounded harsh even to my own ears. You want privacy now? After what, 6 months of this? A year? How long, Janelle? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been stealing money from our joint account, lying about your location, and spending weekends in luxury suites with multiple men. So please, enlighten me. What is it like? Gabriel, the one who'd answered the door, stepped forward. Look, Mr. Morrison, you know my name. Interesting. Does that mean she talks about me? Does she tell you about her husband while you're paying for hotel rooms with what? Your money? Or is she using mine for that too? His jaw tightened. This is between you and your wife. No, this involves you now. You opened the door. You're in the room. So you're part of this. I looked at each of them. I want names. All of you. And I want to know if any of you knew she was married. Andrew, stop! Janelle's voice cracked. Names. Now. Or I call hotel security and explain that my wife is here under someone else's reservation, and we see what they make of this situation. The younger guy spoke first, nervous. Steve Nguyen. The other man on the couch, Nicholas Taylor. Gabriel just stared at me, silent. And you already know I'm Gabriel Sanders, he finally said. Investment banker. I've been seeing Janelle for 14 months. 14 months. The words hit like a physical blow, but I didn't let it show. Seeing her, I repeated. Interesting word choice. So this is a relationship, not just hotel rooms. And did you know she was married? Gabriel's silence was answer enough. I turned to Steve and Nicholas. And you too? Did you know she had a husband? Steve looked at the floor. She said she was divorced. And you? I looked at Nicholas. Same thing. Recently divorced, she said. I turned back to Janelle, and the look on my face made her step back. So you told them you were divorced. Told them I didn't exist. 14 months. More than a year. Every girls' weekend. Every late night at the office. Every time you kissed me goodbye and told me you loved me, you were planning this. It's complicated. It's really not. I held up my phone, still recording. You committed adultery. You stole marital funds. You lied systematically for over a year. There's nothing complicated about that. It's just betrayal. She tried a different approach, her voice softening. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how. You were going to tell me? I stepped closer. When? After another year? After you'd drained more of our accounts? Or were you waiting until you'd figured out how to take everything in the divorce? Her face changed. Something cold flickered in her eyes. You don't understand what it's like being married to you? Always working. Always focused on your projects. Don't. My voice cut like a blade. Don't you dare try to make this my fault. You made a choice. Every single time. You chose to lie. You chose to cheat. You chose to steal. Own it. Gabriel stepped between us. I think you should leave. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Expensive watch. Designer clothes. The confidence of someone used to getting what he wants. You think you're the prize here? I said quietly. You're dating a married woman who's been stealing from her husband to afford time with you. You knew she was married. Don't pretend you didn't. That makes you just as guilty as she is. And you? I looked at Steve and Nicholas. You're both pathetic. You believed she was divorced without asking questions, without caring enough to verify. You're accessories to this. I turned back to Janelle. I want you out of our house by Monday. Take your clothes, leave everything else. I'll be filing for divorce first thing in the morning. You can't just throw me out. Watch me. The house is in my name. My inheritance from my father bought it. You have no legal claim to it. And after what I've documented tonight, you'll be lucky to leave this marriage with anything. Her expression shifted from pleading to angry. You think you're so perfect. You think you can just... I think I trusted you. I think I built a life with you. I think I gave you everything. And you pissed on it. I pocketed my phone. I'm done here. Enjoy your weekend. It's the last one you'll have on my dime. I walked to the door, stopped, looked back at all of them. One more thing. Gabriel, Steve, Nicholas, you should know that Janelle told me this was her first girls' trip in months. Makes me wonder how many of these weekends there have been. How many of you there are. Might want to compare notes. I saw the looks they exchanged, the sudden doubt, the question marks forming. And, gentlemen, I hope whatever you got from this was worth it. Because I'm not just going after her. I'm coming for all of you. Gabriel, you knowingly pursued a married woman and spent marital funds on your affair. Steve, Nicholas, you participated in adultery based on convenient lies you never bothered to verify. In North Carolina, we have laws about that. I suggest you lawyer up. Gabriel's face went pale. You can't. I can, and I will. You all made choices. Now you get to live with the consequences. I left the suite, walked back through that golden lobby, and made it to my rental car before the shaking started. But it wasn't fear or sadness. It was pure adrenaline, pure purpose. I sat in that car and called Thomas back. I got everything, I said. Video, names, admission of a 14-month affair. And Thomas? They all knew. Gabriel knew she was married. The others didn't ask enough questions. I want them all to pay. Now! Thomas's voice was sharp with focus. Now we destroy all of them. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't even try. I sat in my Marriott hotel room with my laptop, my phone, and a legal pad, building the case that would dismantle Janelle's life piece by piece and take down everyone who'd helped her. Thomas had already emailed me a preliminary divorce filing. North Carolina is a no-fault state, but adultery still matters, especially when marital funds are involved. I had proof of both. But more importantly, North Carolina still recognized alienation of affection lawsuits. I could sue every single man who'd participated in destroying my marriage. I started with the finances, opened every bank statement, every credit card record, every receipt for the past 2 years. Janelle had been careful, but not careful enough. She'd masked the Miami charges by categorizing them as business expenses, but the hotels were never near actual conference centers. The dinners were at romantic restaurants, not client meetings. The charges always clustered on weekends when she'd claimed to be at girls' trips. I documented everything in a spreadsheet. Dates, amounts, locations, what she'd told me versus what she'd actually done. 18 months of systematic deception. Over $40,000 spent on affairs. My phone buzzed. Thomas. You still up? Yeah. Good. I've been thinking about strategy. With the evidence you have, we can go aggressive. File for divorce from bed and board, seek full reimbursement of marital funds she spent on adultery, and potentially pursue criminal charges for financial fraud. But more than that, we can sue Gabriel Sanders and possibly the others for alienation of affection. Explain. North Carolina allows civil suits against third parties who interfere with marriages. If we can prove Gabriel knew she was married and pursued the relationship anyway, which your video does, we can sue him for damages, potentially hundreds of thousands. What about Steve and Nicholas? Harder case, since they claim they didn't know. But if we can prove they should have known, or that they were negligent in verifying her story, we might have something. At minimum, we can depose them, put them under oath, make their lives hell. I liked the sound of that. What about the house? Inherited property remains separate in North Carolina, as long as you kept it separate. Did you? The deed's in my name only. My father left it to me specifically. She never contributed to the mortgage because there isn't one. It was paid off when I inherited it. Perfect. She has no claim. We can get a court order for her removal immediately, especially with proof she's been living with her affair partner part-time. She hasn't been... I stopped. Wait. Let me check something. I pulled up Gabriel Sanders on LinkedIn. Investment banker at Merrill Lynch, based in Miami. I searched his address through a People Finder site. Expensive Brickell condo. Then I searched Janelle's credit cards again. Found charges in Miami that weren't hotel-related. Whole Foods deliveries to an address in Brickell. Gabriel's address. She's been staying at his place, I said. When she told me she was traveling for work, she was living with him. Even better. Document all of that. It establishes a pattern of abandonment and proves she's already established a separate residence. Judge will have zero sympathy. We talked for another hour, building the strategy. File Monday morning. Serve her immediately. Request emergency hearing for exclusive possession of the marital home. Subpoena all her communications, bank records, everything. But I wasn't satisfied with just winning the divorce. I wanted consequences, real ones, for everyone involved. I want to sue Gabriel Sanders first, I said. Big number. Make an example of him. How much are we talking? $500,000. He's an investment banker. He can afford it. And he knowingly destroyed my marriage. That's worth $500,000. Aggressive. I like it. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Morrison, this is Steve Nguyen. We met tonight. I need to talk to you about Janelle. She's not who you think she is. Call me." I called him. "Hello?" He sounded nervous. "You said she's not who I think she is. I think she's a liar and a cheat. Tell me how I'm wrong." Silence. Then, "You're not wrong. I just found out tonight that she's married. She told me she was divorced. She told Gabriel the same thing. I heard him say it after you left. We started comparing stories. Nothing adds up." "That's a lie, Steve. Gabriel knew. I could see it on his face. You might not have known, but he did." Another pause. "Yeah, you're right. He slipped up after you left. Said something about knowing it was complicated. He knew she was married. How long have you been seeing her?" 6 months. I met her at a medical conference. I'm a pharmaceutical rep. She said she was recently single, looking for something casual. I thought I was the only one. You weren't." "Yeah, I'm getting that now." He sounded bitter. "Look, I know you don't owe me anything, but I thought you should know. She's got at least 2 other guys she's been seeing. Maybe more. Gabriel's the serious one, I think. But there are others." My jaw clenched. "Names? I don't know them all. But there's a guy named Jared. Last name Roberts, I think. Works in real estate. And someone named Bill, maybe William. I didn't catch his last name. She keeps them all separate. Different friend groups, different cities. Multiple ongoing affairs. Not just Gabriel. A whole network of lies." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I'm pissed off," Steve said bluntly. "I don't cheat. I don't lie. I thought I was dating someone honest. Finding out she's been playing all of us, including a husband, it makes me sick. So yeah, if there's anything I know that helps you in court, I'll testify. And if you're going after Gabriel, I'll help." He knew. He's as guilty as she is. I'll remember that. "And Steve? You might think you're off the hook because you didn't know she was married. But you're a pharmaceutical rep. You meet someone at a conference, start a relationship, and never bother to verify her story. Never ask to see where she lives. Never question why she's always traveling to see you. That's willful ignorance. And in court, that might not look good for you either." I heard him swallow. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you need to decide right now whose side you're on. You can help me, provide evidence, testify against Gabriel and Janelle, and I'll consider leaving you out of the lawsuit. Or you can stay quiet, and I'll name you as a defendant too. Your choice." "I'll help," he said immediately. "Whatever you need. I'll send you everything. Texts, emails, photos, anything that proves the timeline and her lies. Smart choice. And Steve, start looking for a new job. Because when this goes to discovery, your employer's going to find out you were sleeping with a married woman you met at one of their conferences. Might violate some ethics policies. Jesus. Actions have consequences. Remember that." I hung up. Sent a text to Thomas. "Steve Nguyen is cooperating. Will provide evidence. Also confirms Gabriel knew Janelle was married." His response came immediately. "Excellent. That strengthens the alienation case significantly. Gabriel's in serious trouble." I finally laid down around 4 a.m., but my mind wouldn't stop. I kept seeing that moment when Janelle had looked up at me from that couch, the shock on her face. She'd thought she was safe. Thought she'd covered her tracks. She'd been wrong. And so had Gabriel, Steve, Nicholas, and whoever else had participated in this betrayal. They were all about to learn what happens when you destroy someone's life. Saturday morning, I flew back to Charlotte. Landed at 10 a.m., drove straight to Thomas's office. He'd agreed to meet me on the weekend because he knew this couldn't wait. His office was downtown, 20th floor, view of the city. He had the divorce papers ready, and more. "I expedited everything," he said, sliding the stack across his desk. "Divorce filing, motion for exclusive possession, emergency restraining orders, and He slid another folder. Lawsuit against Gabriel Sanders for alienation of affection. We're seeking $500,000 in damages. Good. I also drafted lawsuits against Steve Nguyen and Nicholas Taylor. $100,000 each. Steve might cooperate his way out of it, but let's keep the pressure on. And Nicholas? He's going to wish he'd asked more questions. What did you find on Nicholas? Thomas pulled up a file. Nicholas Taylor, 41, owns a medical equipment company. Married to someone named Diane. Has been for 12 years. My eyebrows shot up. He's married? Very. 3 kids. Lives in Fort Lauderdale. Which means when he was screwing your wife, he was cheating on his own wife. I started signing documents, 47 pages total. Each signature felt like another nail in Janelle's coffin. Process servers will hit Janelle at Peterson & Associates Monday morning. 9:30 a.m., Thomas said. Right in the middle of her staff meeting. Perfect. Gabriel gets served at Merrill Lynch. Steve at his pharmaceutical office. Nicholas at home. We'll make sure his wife's there to see it. I signed the final page. What about their work communications? Can we get those? Thomas leaned back in his chair. That's the beauty of discovery subpoenas. We don't contact their employers directly. That could look vindictive. Instead, we subpoena work emails and phone records as part of the lawsuits. If they were using company resources for affairs, their employers find out organically through legal channels. Will that work? If they were sloppy, and cheaters usually are, absolutely. Work emails to coordinate meetups, company phones for private calls. Maybe Gabriel charged some trips to his corporate card. It'll all come out. And when Merrill Lynch sees it, they'll care. Do it. Thomas slid another document across the desk. I also drafted a letter to the district attorney. Outlines potential criminal fraud charges, theft of marital funds, financial deception. We won't file it unless we need leverage, but it's ready. I picked up the letter, read through it. Detailed, thorough, devastating. You're good at this, I said. I've been doing this a long time. And Andrew? Most people I represent are just trying to survive divorce. You're trying to win it. That's rare. That's something I can work with. We spent another hour going through strategy, discovery timelines, court dates, negotiation leverage points. Finally, around 3 p.m., I left his office and drove home. The house looked different now. I walked through each room, living room where we'd watched movies together, kitchen where we'd cooked dinner, bedroom where she'd lied next to me every night. Had she brought Gabriel here? Had they laughed about me in my own home? My phone rang. Janelle. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again 2 minutes later. Again 5 minutes after that. The third time, I answered. What? Andrew, please. We need to talk. We have nothing to talk about. You'll be served with divorce papers Monday morning at your office. Don't come home. Your key won't work after Tuesday. You can't just lock me out. I can, and I will. The house is mine. You have no legal right to it. Take it up with your lawyer. I don't have a lawyer. Then get one. You're going to need one. Oh, and Janelle? Gabriel's going to need one too. I'm suing him for $500,000. Steve and Nicholas are next. She gasped. You can't sue them. Alienation of affection. North Carolina law. And I've got video proof Gabriel knew you were married. He's going to lose everything. So are you. I hung up. Blocked her number. Sunday morning, I called Mike Hansen. Andy, what's up? I need a favor. Janelle and I are getting divorced. She's been stealing from our joint accounts. I need you to help me audit everything. Make sure I haven't missed anything. Jesus. Are you okay? I'm great. I'm pissed. I'm focused, and I'm going to win. Can you help? Absolutely. Send me everything. I'll find every dollar. Next, I called Janelle's brother, Daniel Garcia. We'd always gotten along. He deserved to know the truth. Andrew, hey man, Janelle said you guys had a fight. Did she tell you she's been having multiple affairs for over a year? Silence. Then, what? I told him everything. The Miami hotel, the systematic lying, the stolen money. I sent him the video I'd recorded. "Oh my God," he said after watching it. "Andrew, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." "I know you didn't. But you should know what your sister is. I'm filing for divorce Monday, and I'm suing the men who participated. I don't even know what to say. Just don't let her spin this. She's going to call everyone, play the victim. Make sure your family knows the truth." By Sunday evening, I'd made 6 strategic calls. Daniel, Janelle's best friend, Carmen Wild, my 2 closest friends, and 2 couple friends we'd shared. Each conversation was brief, factual, backed by evidence. I changed every password: banks, Netflix, Hulu, everything we'd shared. Then, at 9 p.m., someone knocked on my door. I opened it. Gabriel Sanders stood there, furious. "You need to drop this lawsuit," he said. I laughed in his face. "Get off my property before I call the police. You're trying to ruin my life." "No, Gabriel. You ruined your own life when you decided to sleep with a married woman. I'm just making sure you face consequences." $500,000? That's insane. That's what my marriage was worth. You participated. Now you pay. His face went red. "I'll fight this. Then fight it. And when you lose, I'll add attorney fees to the judgment. Your call." "Oh, and Gabriel? We're subpoenaing your work communications. If you used company email or your work phone for any of this, Merrill Lynch is going to know everything." He stood there, processing, then turned and left. I called the police non-emergency line, filed a report, documented everything. More ammunition. Monday morning, 8 a.m. sharp. Thomas filed everything. I was at my desk when he texted me. All documents filed. Divorce petition, exclusive possession, dissipation claims, and 3 alienation suits. Gabriel Sanders, $500K. Steve Nguyen, $100K. Nicholas Taylor, $100K. Process server heading to Peterson and Associates now. I checked my watch. 9:15 a.m. My phone rang at 9:47. Blocked number. I answered. "You bastard!" Janelle screamed. "You had me served at work, in front of everyone." "You humiliated me for 18 months, I said calmly. "I returned the favor in one morning. Or even now." People were staring. My boss saw, "Good. They should know what you are." Gabriel, Steve, and Nicholas are getting served today too. 500,000 for Gabriel. 100,000 each for Steve and Nicholas. You can't. Already did. Enjoy explaining to your colleagues why your husband's suing 3 different men. I hung up. 2 hours later, Thomas called. "Judge Eliza Adamson reviewed your evidence. She scheduled an emergency hearing for Wednesday morning. She wants this resolved fast." That's good, right? That's excellent. Judges don't schedule emergency hearings unless they think the case has merit. She saw the video, Andrew. She knows what Janelle did. That evening, I changed every password we'd shared. Bank accounts, credit cards, streaming services, email accounts. Cut Janelle off from everything. At 9 p.m., someone pounded on my door. Gabriel Sanders again. "You need to leave Janelle alone," he said. I laughed. Actually laughed. "Gabriel, do you know how many men she's sleeping with?" His face changed. "What?" "Steve Nguyen, Nicholas Taylor, a real estate guy named Jared Roberts, someone named Bill, at least 4 that I know of. She's been playing all of you." Gabriel's face went white. "You're lying." "Am I?" "Ask Steve. He figured it out Friday night after I left. You think you're special? You're just the one with the most money." He stood there, breathing hard, then turned and walked away without another word. I called the police again. Second report, documenting Gabriel's threatening behavior. Wednesday morning, I walked into Mecklenburg County Courthouse, wearing my sharpest navy suit. carrying a leather folder with organized copies of everything. Thomas met me in the hallway. "Ready?" "Ready." Janelle was already there with a kid who looked maybe 28, nervous energy radiating off him in waves. Clark Wright, according to the business card he'd handed Thomas. "That's her lawyer?" I asked. "She hired him Monday afternoon, fresh out of a small firm. He's in over his head." We walked into the courtroom. Judge Eliza Adamson took the bench at 9:15. Late 50s, gray hair pulled back tight, eyes that looked like they'd seen every lie 1,000 times. "Morrison versus Morrison," she said. "Motion for exclusive possession of marital home and emergency relief. Mr. McKinley, you're representing the plaintiff?" Thomas stood. "Yes, Your Honor." "Ms. Morrison, you're represented by Mr. Wright?" Clark Wright stood, his hand shaking slightly. "Yes, Your Honor." "Let's proceed. Mr. McKinley, make your case." Thomas laid it out. Methodical. Devastating. The video from the Fontainebleau, Judge Adamson watched without expression. The financial records showing $42,817 in hidden expenditure. Witness statements from Steve Nguyen and Daniel Garcia. Judge Adamson reviewed everything, then looked at Janelle. "Ms. Morrison, do you dispute any of these facts?" Clark Wright started to speak. Judge Adamson held up her hand. I asked Ms. Morrison. Janelle's face went red. "Your Honor, it's more complicated than— Do you dispute that you were in Miami with multiple men when you told your husband you were in Tampa?" "No, but—" "Do you dispute that you spent over $42,000 of marital funds on these affairs without your husband's knowledge?" Janelle looked at Clark helplessly. "No, I don't dispute it." Judge Adamson made a note. "Mr. McKinley, the house in question. What's the ownership structure?" "Inherited by Mr. Morrison from his late father. Deed is solely in his name. No marital funds were used for purchase or improvement. Ms. Morrison has no legal claim." "Mr. Wright, do you have evidence contradicting that?" "We're still gathering." "That's a no." Motion for exclusive possession is granted. Ms. Morrison, you have 72 hours to remove yourself from the residence. You may retrieve personal belongings under supervision within 30 days. Mr. Morrison is authorized to change locks immediately. Janelle's face crumpled. "Your Honor, please, you should have considered that before committing adultery and dissipating marital assets." Next, Mr. McKinley, you're seeking full reimbursement? "Yes, Your Honor. $42,817. We have documentation for every dollar." "Ms. Morrison will repay the full amount within 90 days or face contempt charges. I'm also awarding Mr. Morrison attorney fees and costs." "Mr. McKinley, anything else?" "Full disclosure of Ms. Morrison's communications for the past 2 years. Clark objected. "Your Honor, that's overly broad." "It's relevant." Motion granted. Ms. Morrison, you will provide complete access to all electronic communications within 10 days. Failure to comply will result in sanctions. The gavel fell. I walked out feeling lighter than I had in days. In the hallway, Gabriel Sanders sat on a bench outside a different courtroom, waiting for his own hearing. Our eyes met. His face showed pure terror. Wednesday afternoon, a police cruiser pulled up in front of the house. I'd requested the escort, made sure everything was documented, supervised, controlled. Officer Marcus Kelly knocked on my door at 2 p.m. sharp. Mid-40s, professional demeanor, carried a clipboard. "Mr. Morrison, I'm here to supervise the property removal per Judge Adamson's order." "Thank you, officer. She should be here any minute." Janelle arrived 10 minutes later, pulled up in her car, face tight with anger. She walked straight past me without a word, started grabbing things. The living room lamp, the coffee maker, the TV. Officer Kelly stepped in. "Ma'am, the court order specifies personal belongings only. Clothing, toiletries, personal items. This is my stuff. It's marital property. You can take clothing and personal effects, nothing else." Janelle's face went red. That's my coffee maker. Did you purchase it with solely your funds, separate from the marriage? She glared at me. I stared back, expressionless. 2 hours later, she left with 4 suitcases and her car. That was it. I watched her drive away. Felt nothing. Called a locksmith immediately. Had every lock changed by 5 p.m. Then installed security cameras. Front door, back door, driveway, living room. $800 well spent. This house was mine now. Dad's house. My house. That evening, Mike Hansen showed up with his laptop. You need to see this, he said, setting up at the kitchen table. He pulled up spreadsheet, complex, color-coded, detailed. She wasn't just spending your money on affairs, Mike said. She was moving it. Look, these transfers to a separate account you didn't know about. I leaned in, saw transaction after transaction, small amounts, 200 here, 500 there, never enough to trigger alerts. How much? $30,000 over 2 years, all into an account solely in her name. My jaw clenched. She was planning this for at least 2 years. She was preparing to leave you, Andy, siphoning money the whole time. This proves premeditation. I grabbed my phone, called Thomas. Thomas, Mike found something. Janelle had a hidden account. $30,000 in marital funds she transferred over 2 years. Thomas was silent for a beat. Then, that's beautiful. This proves she planned to defraud you. Judge Adamson's going to order every penny returned. Send me everything Mike found. We spent an hour documenting it all. Every transaction, every date, every pattern. When Mike left, I sat in the quiet house and smiled. She'd been so careful, so methodical. And it still wasn't enough. Friday afternoon, my phone rang. Thomas, you sitting down? Should I be? He laughed. Peterson and Associates just fired Janelle. I sat down. What? The subpoenaed work communications came back. Her IT department had to review what they were sending. They found multiple emails where she used company email to coordinate her affairs with Gabriel, discussing your finances, their relationship, plans to leave you. She was using company time and resources to conduct extramarital affairs. They fired her, walked her out of the building 2 hours ago. No severance, no references. It's over. I started laughing. Couldn't help it. There's more, Thomas said. Gabriel's employer found out too. My breath caught. Merrill Lynch? They launched their own investigation after receiving our discovery subpoena. Found out Gabriel was using work phones, work email, even charged some Miami trips to the company card and claimed they were client meetings. Jesus. They suspended him pending full investigation. But Andy, his career's over. Investment banking's a small world. Word spreads fast. Nobody's going to want to work with someone caught in this kind of scandal. I closed my eyes, felt satisfaction wash through me. What about Steve and Nicholas? Steve quit his pharmaceutical job last week, probably saw the writing on the wall. And Nicholas? His wife Diane served him with divorce papers yesterday. She's taking him for everything: house, custody, alimony. He's living in a motel. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. One more thing, I said. Did Gabriel break up with Janelle? Steve told me Gabriel ended it after he found out about the other men. She lied to him too, remember? He thought he was the only one. Now, he knows better. So Janelle was alone. No job, no Gabriel, no Steve or Nicholas, facing financial ruin. Everyone who'd participated in destroying my marriage was paying the price. Thomas? Yeah? Thank you. We're not done yet, but we're winning. Monday morning, my phone started buzzing at 6 a.m. I grabbed it, squinting at the screen. Text from Mike. Dude, front page, business section. I pulled up the Charlotte Observer website. There it was. Top of the business section. Local architect sues 3 men for $700,000 in landmark adultery case. The article had everything. My name, Janelle's name, Gabriel Sanders, investment banker at Merrill Lynch, Steve Nguyen, pharmaceutical rep, Nicholas Taylor, medical equipment company owner, the Miami hotel discovery, the systematic theft of $42,000, the lawsuits, $500,000 against Gabriel, $100,000 each against Steve and Nicholas. My chest tightened. This was real. This was public. By 9 a.m., my phone was flooded. Friends, colleagues, people I hadn't talked to in years, all expressing support. Andy, I can't believe she did that to you. You're doing the right thing, man. Make them pay. I always thought something was off about her. Local news picked it up by noon. Regional outlets by evening. By weekend, I was getting interview requests from national shows. The pressure on Gabriel, Steve, and Nicholas must have been crushing. Monday afternoon, Thomas called. Gabriel's lawyer just called. He's offering $300,000 to settle. No. That's what I said. I told him $500,000. Gabriel should liquidate his condo, his BMW, his investment accounts. He made his choices. What did he say? That he'll fight it. I told him a jury's going to hate him. Video evidence, emails where he acknowledged the affair. They'll give us every penny plus punitive damages. I smiled. Good. 3 days later, Gabriel offered $450,000. Thomas called. He's at $450,000. That's significant, Andrew. It guarantees payment now rather than fighting through trial. I thought about it. $450,000 would crush Gabriel financially, drain his savings, force asset sales. I want conditions, I said. He pays $450,000, but he also signs a sworn affidavit admitting he knowingly had an affair with a married woman. Public record. He'll hate that. Good. Thomas called back an hour later. He agreed. One down. Steve Nguyen's lawyer offered $50,000. Thomas demanded $100,000. Your client met a woman at a professional conference, started a sexual relationship, never verified her story. That's willful ignorance. $100,000. They settled at $75,000. Steve signed a public affidavit too. Nicholas fought hardest. His lawyer argued Nicholas already lost everything in his divorce with Diane. Thomas refused to budge. Then he should have thought about that before he cheated. $100,000. They agreed to a payment plan. $20,000 up front. $5,000 monthly for almost 2 years. Full balance due immediately if he missed a payment. Nicholas signed the affidavit. By month's end, I had settlement agreements totaling $545,000, plus sworn affidavits from all 3 men, admitting their roles. Permanent public record. Searchable forever. Friday evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Morrison? This is Detective Diane Robinson, Charlotte Mecklenburg Police. My stomach dropped. Yes? We've received a complaint from Janelle Morrison. She's alleging harassment, stalking, threatening messages. Says you've been sending threats to her and to Gabriel Sanders, Steve Nguyen, and Nicholas Taylor. Also claims you hired someone to vandalize Mr. Sanders's car. That's completely false. Sir, I need you to come to the station. Tonight. I called Thomas. Met him there an hour later. Detective Robinson sat across from me in the interrogation room. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense expression. Mr. Morrison, these are serious allegations. They're lies. I pulled out my phone. Here's my call log, text history, location data, email accounts. Everything proves I've had 0 contact with any of them outside legal channels, court hearings, supervised property removal, official service. Thomas slid a folder across. Every interaction between my client and the defendants is documented here. Legal, appropriate, supervised. This is a false accusation designed to gain leverage. Detective Robinson reviewed everything, made a call, stepped out, came back 20 minutes later looking annoyed. Mr. Morrison, I just spoke with Mr. Sanders. He claims you sent threatening emails from an anonymous account. Search my emails. You won't find anything. She took my phone, went through every account for 20 minutes, handed it back. These are clean. Because I didn't send anything. Someone's setting me up. Or they're lying, she said flatly. I'll note this in my report, but stay away from all of them. Even if you're right, any contact now will look bad. Already doing that. But when I left, my hands were shaking. Janelle was fighting dirty. That same day, Thomas called with worse news. Gabriel, Steve, and Nicholas's lawyers all filed emergency motions. They're claiming the settlements were signed under duress, trying to void everything. That's insane. It's coordinated, Andrew. Janelle got them together. They're trying to overwhelm you. Over the next 2 weeks, the filings came like hammer blows. Emergency motion claiming I hid assets. Emergency motion to void settlements. Criminal complaint claiming I threatened Gabriel. Civil complaint from Nicholas claiming I defamed him in the interview. Emergency motion from Steve claiming the alienation lawsuit violated his rights. Then Janelle filed her own lawsuit. Civil suit for $200,000. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. Every single one was garbage, but each cost time and money to fight. My attorney bills hit $60,000. Then Damien called me to his office. Andrew, I got a call from Janelle's lawyer. They're threatening to sue the firm. I need you to take paid leave until this resolves. You're suspending me? I'm protecting the firm. I'm sorry. I walked out feeling numb. That night, I got an email from the bank. Our joint credit card, the one I'd forgotten to close, had been maxed out. $30,000. One day. I called Thomas. She maxed the card. $30,000. What did she buy? I pulled up the charges. $15,000 to Brennan and Associates law firm. Thomas went quiet. Then, I'll dig into this. He called back an hour later. Andrew, Janelle's parents took out a second mortgage. $200,000. They're funding everything. Her legal bills, Brennan and Associates coordinating the defense for Gabriel, Steve, and Nicholas. I closed my eyes. So they have unlimited resources. For now. But that mortgage will come due. I sat in my house that night, surrounded by legal documents, and felt the weight crushing down. They were hitting me from every angle. My job, my reputation, my finances, and I wasn't sure I could survive it. Wednesday morning, I walked into Mecklenburg County Courthouse wearing my sharpest suit, carrying Thomas McKinley's meticulously organized evidence folders. Janelle stood with Kenneth Whitmore from Brennan and Associates. Slick suit, expensive watch, the kind of lawyer who charged $500 an hour. Gabriel, Steve, and Nicholas clustered with their own attorneys nearby, all of them looking nervous. Judge Adamson took the bench at 9 sharp. Her expression told me everything I needed to know. She was done with their games. Morrison versus Morrison and related matters, she said. 8 emergency motions filed by 4 defendants in 2 weeks. Mr. Whitmore, you're representing Ms. Morrison? Kenneth stood smoothly. Yes, Your Honor. Miss D. Morrison has been subjected to a campaign of public humiliation. Stop right there! Judge Adamson's voice could have cut steel. Ms. Morrison destroyed her own reputation through her actions. Mr. Morrison exercised his First Amendment right to discuss matters of public record. Next argument. Kenneth shifted tactics. Your Honor, we believe Mr. Morrison has hidden assets. We're requesting extended discovery given his successful career. Based on what evidence? Based on the fact that he's an established architect with... That's speculation, not evidence. Denied. What else? Gabriel's lawyer stood. Your Honor, the settlement agreements were signed under duress. Mr. Morrison threatened my client. I've reviewed Mr. McKinley's documentation. Judge Adamson flipped through papers. Every interaction was lawful. Your clients had legal representation. They negotiated. They signed. Those settlements stand. Mr. Whitmore, you have something about threatening communications? Kenneth pulled out papers. Yes, Your Honor. Police reports documenting. Police investigated those claims and found them false. Detective Robinson's report is in the file. Anything else? Or are we done wasting the court's time? The room went silent. Judge Adamson looked at each lawyer in turn. Here's what's happening. All 8 motions are denied. The settlement agreements stand. Ms. Morrison will reimburse Mr. Morrison for the credit card charges, $30,000, within 24 hours per court order. Janelle's face went pale. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm sanctioning all 4 defendants for filing frivolous claims in bad faith. $10,000 each, payable to Mr. Morrison within 30 days. Janelle gasped. Gabriel's face turned white. Steve and Nicholas looked like they might throw up. That's $40,000 total, Judge Adamson said flatly. And I'm warning all of you, if I see one more frivolous filing, one more false allegation, one more attempt to delay or obstruct these proceedings, I will hold you in contempt. That means jail time. Am I clear? Everyone nodded. Good. Final divorce hearing remains scheduled for 3 weeks from today. Mr. McKinley, prepare your final arguments. Everyone else, stop wasting my time. We're adjourned. The gavel fell. Thomas was grinning as we walked out. That was beautiful. Judge Adamson just handed us another $40,000 in sanctions. Plus, she shut down their entire strategy. They're done, I said. They're done, Thomas agreed. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in weeks. The coordinated assault had failed. Judge Adamson saw right through their desperation. That afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Morrison? This is Fred Harrison. I'm a private investigator. I'm not interested. I've been hired by Diane Taylor, Nicholas Taylor's ex-wife, to investigate her husband's affairs. I found something you need to see. I sat up. What? Not over the phone. Can we meet? Tomorrow morning? I have evidence that connects all 4 of them. Your wife, Gabriel Sanders, Stephen Nguyen, and Nicholas Taylor, to something much bigger than affairs. My pulse quickened. How much bigger? Big enough that you'll want your lawyer present. Can you meet me tomorrow? 9 a.m.? There's a coffee shop on Trade Street. I'll be there. Bring Mr. McKinley. You're going to want legal counsel when you see this. He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, my mind racing. What the hell had Fred Harrison found? Thursday morning, I walked into the coffee shop on Trade Street. Fred Harrison was already there. 50s, weathered face, ex-cop energy radiating off him. He had a thick folder on the table. Mr. Morrison! He stood, shook my hand. Thanks for coming. I sat down. You said you found something big? Big doesn't cover it. He slid the folder across the table. Mrs. Taylor hired me to prove her husband was cheating. I found that, but I found something else too. I opened the folder. Bank statements. Not just Nicholas's, all 4 of them. Janelle, Gabriel, Steve, Nicholas. What am I looking at? A money laundering operation. Small scale, but systematic. Your wife was the coordinator. My stomach tightened. Explain. She'd collect cash from Gabriel, Steve, and Nicholas. Payments for her time, essentially. Then she'd run it through various accounts to make it look legitimate. She was treating the affairs like a business. I stared at the documents. Transactions going back 2 years. Thousands of dollars flowing from Gabriel's accounts to Janelle's hidden account. Smaller amounts from Steve and Nicholas. Then, transfers to other accounts. Purchases, withdrawals. All designed to obscure the source. She was charging them? I said slowly. Not directly. But look at the pattern. Gabriel makes a loan to her. She pays for a luxury vacation. They both go. She categorizes it as a business expense on her taxes. It's structured to look like normal transactions, but it's actually systematic exchange. They pay, she provides companionship. Is this illegal? The money laundering is, the tax fraud is, the failure to report income is. Mr. Morrison, your wife wasn't just having affairs. She was running an escort service with a small client list. I felt sick. Can we prove this? I can testify. I have the records. And if you subpoena their tax returns, you'll see none of them reported these transactions. That's federal tax evasion. I pulled out my phone, called Thomas. We need to file supplemental discovery. All of them, Janelle, Gabriel, Steve, Nicholas. Tax returns for the past 3 years. Bank records we haven't seen. Everything. What did you find? I explained what Fred showed me. Thomas went silent. Then, Andrew, this changes everything. If we can prove an organized financial scheme, we're not just talking divorce and civil lawsuits. We're talking federal crimes, IRS investigation, possible prison time. Do it, I said. File everything. That afternoon, Thomas filed the supplemental discovery requests, subpoenas for tax returns, subpoenas for additional bank records, forensic accounting of all transactions between the 4 defendants. Kenneth Whitmore called within an hour. What the hell are you doing? These discovery requests are outrageous. Your client committed tax fraud and financial crimes, Thomas said calmly. We have evidence. We're pursuing it. Unless you'd like to discuss settlement? Settlement of what? Everything. The divorce, the restitution, the criminal exposure. We can make this go away if your client agrees to full restitution, complete admission of wrongdoing, and cooperation with any federal investigation. Silence. I need to talk to my client, Kenneth finally said. He called back 2 hours later. My client wants to settle. The negotiation took 3 days, but when it was done, I had everything. Janelle agreed to immediate payment of all dissipated marital funds, $42,817. Reimbursement of the maxed credit card, $30,000. Payment of all my attorney fees, $68,000. Relinquishment of any claim to marital property. Retirement accounts. Future earnings. A sworn affidavit admitting to adultery, financial fraud, and tax evasion. Cooperation with any IRS or law enforcement investigation. A permanent no-contact restraining order. Total, $140,817. Plus the house, the cars, everything. Gabriel's settlement, $450,000. Steve's, $75,000. Nicholas's, $100,000 on the payment plan. Plus the court sanctions, $40,000. Total recovery, $705,817. But I wanted more than money. I wanted permanent consequences. Sunday afternoon, I called the IRS hotline, filed a detailed report, explained the evidence Fred Harrison discovered, provided copies of the bank statements, the tax return discrepancies, everything. 3 weeks later, all 4 of them received letters from the IRS, audit notices. The final divorce hearing was a formality. Judge Adamson approved the settlement agreement, granted the divorce, closed the case. I walked out of that courthouse a free man, knowing the real consequences were just beginning. 6 months after the divorce, I stood on my back deck on a Saturday morning, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise paint the Charlotte skyline in shades of orange and gold. My life was unrecognizable, in the best way. The house felt like mine now. I'd renovated everything after the divorce finalized. New paint in every room, new furniture that Janelle had never touched, new artwork on the walls. I'd erased every trace of her. The master bedroom had fresh linens, a new bed frame, colors I'd chosen. The kitchen had been updated with appliances I actually wanted. Even the backyard had been landscaped differently, with a stone patio and new plantings. This was my space, my sanctuary. No ghosts. I took a sip of coffee and thought about how completely everyone who'd betrayed me had fallen apart. Janelle's parents lost their house. That $200,000 second mortgage came due. They couldn't pay, and the bank foreclosed. I heard through Daniel that they blamed Janelle for everything, cut her off completely. She'd destroyed their financial security along with her own. Gabriel lost his job at Merrill Lynch permanently. The suspension became termination once the settlement affidavit went public. He had to sell his Brickell condo to pay me the $450,000. Last I heard, he was working as a junior analyst at some tiny firm, making a fraction of his old salary. His investment banking career was over. Steve left North Carolina entirely, fled to Oregon, trying to start over. But that public affidavit followed him. His new employer found it during a background check. Fired him again. Can't escape the internet. Nicholas lost everything in his divorce. Diane took the house, got custody of their 3 kids, walked away with most of his assets. He was paying child support and alimony on top of the settlement payment plan with me. He filed for bankruptcy 6 months ago. And Janelle? She declared bankruptcy too. Couldn't pay the settlement, couldn't pay her attorney fees, couldn't pay the IRS when their audit hit her with additional taxes and penalties. She was living in some low-rent apartment, working retail just to survive. Her marketing career was done. Peterson and Associates refused to give references, and the public court records came up in every background check. Her reputation was destroyed. Her family wouldn't speak to her. Her life was small now, limited. All because she'd made selfish choices and refused to accept responsibility. Mine was expanding. Damien apologized for suspending me, gave me a raise, made me partner in the firm. My career was thriving. The $700,000 from the settlements and sanctions was sitting in investments, making me more financially secure than I'd ever been. And I'd met Riley Hernandez, project manager at one of my client companies. Smart, kind, honest. We'd been dating 3 months now. I'd told her everything on our 3rd date, the whole story. She'd just listened, didn't judge, and said, "You deserved better than what she gave you." It was easy with Riley, simple. No drama, no lies, just 2 people building something real. I heard the sliding door open behind me. Riley stepped out in one of my t-shirts, her hair messy from sleep, carrying her own coffee. "Morning," she said, kissing my cheek. "Morning." We stood there together, watching the sun climb higher. Peaceful. Right. I thought about Miami sometimes. That hotel room. Seeing Janelle on that couch with Gabriel, Steve, and Nicholas. But I didn't think about it with pain anymore. I thought about it with satisfaction, because I'd handled it perfectly, documented everything, fought legally, won decisively, made sure everyone who participated faced real consequences. 1 year after the divorce, I got a Facebook message from Janelle. I'd forgotten to block her there. "Andrew, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need to say this. I'm sorry. I destroyed our marriage, stole from you, lied to everyone. I brought Gabriel, Steve, and Nicholas into it. I was selfish and cruel. I've spent the last year paying for it, literally and figuratively. I lost everything. My job, my family, my home. Gabriel won't speak to me. Steve moved away. Nicholas lost everything too because of me. I destroyed all of us. I deserve that. I just wanted you to know that I understand now what I did. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be." I read it twice. Felt nothing. Didn't respond. Blocked her. Some apologies come too late. Some bridges, once burned, stay ashes. And some people need to live with the consequences of their choices. Janelle, Gabriel, Steve, Nicholas, they'd all made choices. They'd all participated in destroying my marriage. Now, they all paid for it. I closed my laptop and went to find Riley. We had dinner reservations tonight, plans for the weekend, a future to build. They had their consequences. I had my life back. That was all the closure I needed. I believe stories such as this find us for a reason. If this one touches you, please subscribe. I share a new one every day. In the meantime, there are 2 stories on the screen that are even better.